1. Humanity's relentless survival instinct, the ultimate weapon. Humanity's most terrifying quality isn't their technology, their weapons, or even their strategic genius. It's the deep, primal instinct to survive against all odds. Unlike other galactic species that were born with innate strengths, whether it's the Kal'tet's powerful physique, the Zarine's centuries-old wisdom, or the Valari's mastery of biochemical warfare, humans have been forged by an existence where survival is never guaranteed. Their home planet, Earth, was a battleground of natural selection, where the species had to evolve and innovate just to stay alive. In the galaxy, this relentless survival instinct makes them unpredictable and dangerous. While other species might view war as an opportunity for expansion or conquest, humans view it as a fight for existence itself. They do not just survive to win, they survive because it is in their nature to do so, and when faced with extinction, they will not quietly accept their fate. Rather, they will do everything in their power to drag their enemies down with them, no matter the cost. This primal drive to endure, to push through suffering and loss, is the essence of their power. When the Kal'tet warlord Krekath first encountered a human force, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. He thought the humans were desperate, but what he failed to understand was that their desperation wasn't weakness, it was the fuel of their fury. In the face of overwhelming odds, they fought not just for themselves but for their future. They were the last ones standing because they refused to surrender, to give in. Even when their numbers were dwindling, they continued to wage war with relentless ferocity, knowing that their survival depended on making the galaxy understand one unbreakable truth: to underestimate humanity's will to survive is to invite annihilation. Humanity's sheer determination is not just a quality, it is a legacy, woven into every individual, passed down through generations. It's in their soldiers who charge into battle despite impossible odds, in their civilians who rebuild after every defeat, and in their scientists who devise ever more destructive weapons in the name of survival. It is this instinct that keeps them pushing forward, fighting, adapting, evolving, no matter how much the universe tries to crush them. Ultimately, it is this survival instinct, this refusal to ever back down or give up, that makes humanity the galaxy's most terrifying warrior species. They may not have been born with extraordinary physical abilities, but they have something that no alien empire has mastered: the drive to outlast, outthink, and overcome any challenge, no matter how insurmountable it may seem. And in the end, it's not just the fight they win, it's the survival of their species, ensuring that humanity's story will echo through the galaxy for as long as life exists. 2. Adaptation over strength, humanity's tactical genius. When the galaxy's mightiest civilizations looked at humanity, they saw a species that lacked the physical power of the Kal'tet or the psychic abilities of the Zari. At first glance, humans appeared to be nothing more than an evolutionary anomaly, barely surviving on a hostile, resource-depleted planet. But the truth that would send shivers down the spines of galactic warlords is that humanity's true strength lies in their unparalleled capacity for adaptation. They are a species that does not fight with brute force or supernatural powers, but with the sharpest tool of all, the mind. Humanity's ability to adapt quickly and effectively is what makes them so deadly. While other species may hone their strengths over millennia, humanity has an extraordinary talent for learning and evolving on the fly. When faced with a new enemy or a novel threat, humans study it, analyze it, and ultimately find a way to counteract it. Unlike species like the Valari, whose mastery of biological warfare relies on a long-term, slow-brewing evolution of their weaponry, humans turn their weaknesses into strengths almost overnight. Their ability to invent, to innovate, and to quickly understand and reverse engineer alien technology has made them one of the most dangerous and resourceful species in the galaxy. The Kal'tet learned this the hard way during their early skirmishes with humans. Initially, they thought that by simply overwhelming human forces with their superior strength, they would crush any resistance. But the humans, who had no intention of playing by the rules of their enemy, simply adapted. They studied Kal'tet combat strategies, observed their fighting tactics, and within months, created countermeasures that the Kaltith had never anticipated. One of humanity's first victories over the Kaltith came not from sheer power, but from tactical ingenuity. Humans outsmarted them, using their intelligence and resourcefulness to turn the Kaltith's greatest strengths against them. What made this even more terrifying for the galaxy was that humanity's ability to adapt wasn't limited to battle tactics. It permeated every aspect of their civilization. When faced with a species that utilized advanced psychic powers, humans didn't try to overpower them. They researched how to block, neutralize, and even use those powers to their own advantage. When confronted with alien technologies far beyond their own, humanity didn't flinch. They embraced the challenge, studying alien ships and weapons until they could replicate and improve upon them. The result was that humanity didn't just survive in the galaxy, they thrived, using the strengths of their enemies against them. The Zerine, with their centuries of knowledge, were among the first to realize how truly dangerous humanity had become. It wasn't just their technological prowess, it was their ability to evolve faster than any species had ever done before. Where the Zerine relied on the strength of their empire, humanity was constantly looking ahead, staying one step ahead of their enemies. In the galactic theater of war, humanity quickly became the wild card that no one could predict, a species whose enemies were always forced to reassess their strategies, lest they fall victim to humanity's ever-growing capabilities. This adaptability also means that humans are not easily broken, nor are they complacent. When one strategy fails, they simply find another. When one weapon is defeated, they create something more devastating. The humans' minds, constantly working and constantly evolving, have turned them into the ultimate guerrilla force in the galaxy. They are the species that cannot be pigeonholed, because every time an alien power thinks they've figured out how to defeat them, humans have already moved on to something entirely new. What is perhaps most terrifying about humanity's tactical genius is that it is not just the work of their best soldiers or scientists. It's a societal trait embedded in every human, from the young child learning to solve problems, to the veteran soldier constantly finding new ways to adapt to the changing battlefield. It's a collective intelligence, a galaxy-wide drive to innovate and improve that transcends any individual or group. When humanity is faced with a threat, they respond not just with force, but with an entire culture built around outthinking, outmaneuvering, and ultimately overcoming. In the end, it's not just their brute force or their advanced technology that makes humanity so terrifying, it's their ability to continuously evolve, adapt, and find new solutions in the face of seemingly impossible odds. No matter the enemy, no matter the challenge, humanity's genius will always find a way to win, and that is the greatest fear of all. 3. Unyielding resolve, the dark power of sacrifice. What truly sets humanity apart as the galaxy's most terrifying warrior species is not just their tactical genius or their brutal fight for survival, it's the dark power of their unyielding resolve. When faced with overwhelming odds, humanity does not simply fight to win, they fight with an intensity that surpasses mere survival instinct. In the cold depths of space, humanity has proven time and again that their willingness to sacrifice for the greater good, for the survival of their species, makes them a force that even the mightiest galactic empires fear. The galaxy's great powers, accustomed to calculating their victories and losses with cold precision, do not understand the human psyche. They cannot fathom the lengths to which humanity will go, even when all hope seems lost. For many species, death is an end of final defeat. But for humans, death is often the beginning of something far more dangerous, an unquenchable desire for revenge. When humans are backed into a corner, when they are pushed beyond their limits, they do not surrender. Instead, they dig in deeper. It is this fierce, almost reckless refusal to give in that has terrified the galaxy's strongest empires. In one of the most harrowing examples, during a war against the Zeri, a species with powerful psychic abilities capable of crushing their enemies without lifting a finger, humanity's resolve was put to the ultimate test. The Xeri, believing themselves invincible, had cornered a human colony on a distant moon. The human forces were completely outmatched, surrounded on all sides by an army that could predict their every move. Viserys' victory was all but assured. But in a desperate last stand, the humans did something the Viserys had not predicted. The colony's surviving population, knowing they would never escape, made a fateful decision: they would detonate the moon's core, taking the Viserys army with them. The Viserys thought they had the upper hand, but they were wrong. The human soldiers didn't care if they lived or died. They fought and sacrificed themselves with an intensity that sent shockwaves through the Viserys ranks. They fought not just for their own lives, but for the memory of their fallen, for the survival of the species, and for the idea that they would never, ever be eradicated without a fight. The explosion obliterated the Viserys forces in a brilliant flash of fire and destruction, sending a chilling message across the galaxy: humanity would not be extinguished quietly. This willingness to sacrifice, whether through self-destruction or the willingness to lose everything for the greater good, is what makes humans so terrifying. To the Viserys, the concept of a species willing to destroy its own to ensure the survival of its ideals was a concept they had never encountered. To them, sacrifice was a loss to be avoided, but to humanity, it is a weapon as powerful as any fleet or army. For humans, the idea of going down without taking their enemies with them is unthinkable. The galaxy's most advanced species often consider themselves enlightened, above the violence of others. They fight with carefully measured tactics, using logic and reason to avoid unnecessary loss. But humanity? Humanity sees death not as an end, but as a means to an end. They have been shaped by generations of war, hardship, and sacrifice, wars they did not start, but wars they always finished. And when they are forced into the corner, when there is no hope, they will use that very sacrifice to fuel their final strike. What makes this sacrifice so potent is not just its destructive power, but its legacy. Every death, every loss, strengthens humanity's resolve to push forward. The sacrifice of one becomes the fire that fuels the next generation. They don't forget their fallen, they carry their memory into every battle, every fight, and every victory. It is this unstoppable will that binds humanity together, a resolve forged through centuries of hardship, where no defeat is final and no loss is forgotten. In the galaxy's eyes, humanity may appear small and vulnerable, especially when compared to the ancient, powerful empires that have ruled for millennia. But that perception is their greatest mistake. For in the darkest moments, when the light of hope has dimmed and victory seems impossible, humanity's resolve shines brightest. And it is in that light that their enemies will find their greatest terror, a species that can never be broken, never be subdued, and never be erased. 4. Humanity's unseen strategy, long-term revenge and relentless memory. Perhaps the most terrifying aspect of humanity as a warrior species is their ability to never forget. In a galaxy where history is written by the victors and ancient grudges are often forgotten, humanity's capacity for long-term memory and vengeance is an exceptional and chilling trait. While other species may engage in short-term conflicts or end hostilities when it no longer serves their immediate interests, humans never let go of a slight. They never forget an enemy. In their eyes, victory is not just about winning today. It's about ensuring that the galaxy will never forget the cost of wronging humanity. When a species attacks humanity or threatens their survival, they are signing a contract that goes far beyond the battle at hand. Humanity's memory is a weapon of unimaginable scale, stretching across generations. Where the Zareen might let time dull the pain of defeat, or the Kalteth might move on after an invasion is over, humans harbor their wounds in the deepest recesses of their collective consciousness. They pass down these memories to their children, teaching them not only of the victories won, but also of the injustices they suffered. Every wrong becomes an ember, and humanity fans that ember into an inferno of vengeance that burns through the centuries. This long-term strategy of revenge is not just the work of individual soldiers or warriors. It is embedded into the very fabric of human society. Every human, no matter how peaceful their life may seem, knows the importance of justice. They know that an enemy's cruelty today will not be forgotten, no matter how many centuries passed. And, when the time comes, humanity will strike, not out of anger alone, but out of a deep, unrelenting need for retribution. This is a species that believes in the principle of justice, and they will stop at nothing to make their enemies pay. One of the most haunting stories in galactic history is that of the war with the Vathar, an ancient and powerful species that once wiped out a human colony on a distant world. The Vathar believed that their superiority in combat would ensure the annihilation of the humans, a species they thought would never recover. The Vathar calculated the devastation, measured the cost, and assumed that the memory of the massacre would fade. But humanity did not forget. Over the course of several generations, the Vathar Empire grew comfortable and complacent, secure in the knowledge that the humans they had destroyed were nothing more than a footnote in their history. What the Vathar didn't anticipate was the relentless memory of humanity. Over the course of hundreds of years, humans hunted down the scattered descendants of the Vathar in the deepest reaches of space, unearthing ancient archives, using diplomacy and subterfuge to locate them, and finally executing a systematic campaign of revenge. By the time humanity's revenge was realized, the Vathar Empire had grown so weak and fractured that they couldn't mount any effective resistance. In a final, devastating campaign, humanity eradicated the Vathar's remaining fleet and wiped the once great empire from the galaxy, proving that no victory over humanity could go unanswered. The message was clear: you may think you've destroyed us, but we are a species that will never forget. This long-term vengeance does not just take the form of military strikes. Humanity's strategy of revenge is multifaceted, involving not only military force, but also psychological warfare, subversion, and economic collapse. Human warships are not just tools of destruction, they are also symbols of a memory that stretches across the galaxy. When a species wrongs humanity, that wrong is recorded, stored, and passed down through history. The scars of war become the inheritance of future generations, and when the time is right, humanity will strike back, faster, harder, and more efficiently than ever before. This ensures that no one can ever underestimate the long-lasting power of humanity's resolve. What makes this long-term revenge strategy so terrifying is that it operates in the shadows, unseen by those who think they've won. The galaxy's most powerful empires may never realize that humanity is biding its time, preparing for the inevitable moment when the weight of history comes crashing down upon them. Humans don't just fight for today. They fight for every moment of injustice, every lost life, and every wound inflicted on their species. Over time, they accumulate power, resources, and allies, always moving forward with one singular goal: to make the galaxy remember that humanity never forgets, and that the price of wronging them is a debt that will one day be paid in full. Humanity's enemies cannot hide from this truth. They can conquer planets, destroy colonies, and wipe out entire fleets, but they can never escape the looming specter of humanity's vengeance. The galaxy will soon learn that humanity's most dangerous weapon is not their ships, their armies, or their technology. It is the unrelenting, unforgiving memory of every wrong that has ever been done to them. And in the end, that memory will be the force that conquers all. The story of why humanity is the galaxy's most terrifying warrior species is built on 4 key aspects that set them apart from other civilizations. First, humanity's relentless survival instinct drives them to fight with unparalleled determination. Despite their lack of physical strength or psychic abilities, humans possess an unyielding will to survive, making them unpredictable and fearsome adversaries. Their desire to persist against all odds ensures they will never be crushed easily. Second, humanity's adaptation over strength makes them extraordinary. Where other species rely on innate power or long-term evolution, humans innovate and learn rapidly, using their intelligence to outmaneuver and overpower enemies, often by reverse engineering alien technologies or strategies. Their adaptability allows them to quickly turn the tide in any battle, leaving their enemies struggling to keep up. Third, humanity's unyielding resolve and willingness to sacrifice everything for the greater good solidifies their fearsome reputation. They fight not just to survive, but with an unrelenting desire to destroy anyone who threatens them, regardless of the cost. This willingness to sacrifice their own lives in the name of vengeance or survival makes them a force no enemy can underestimate. Finally, humanity's long-term strategy of vengeance ensures that no wrong ever goes unpunished. Unlike other species that move on from past conflicts, humans harbor grudges across generations, seeking revenge until their enemies are completely eradicated. This relentless memory and pursuit of justice make them a terrifying adversary, for no matter how long it takes, humanity's wrath will always find a way to strike back. In the galaxy, humanity's combination of innovation, resolve, and unyielding memory makes them the most dangerous species, one that can never be underestimated, never forgotten, and never defeated for long. In the end, their greatest strength lies in their relentless drive to survive and avenge, making them the most terrifying warriors in the galaxy.